Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
So understanding well-being. Two views on well-being is the hedonic, that is satisfaction, and eudaimonic, which is fulfillment with life. On the right side of the screen, I've written the presence of positive feelings. We've gone through all this. The absence of negative feelings. Overall satisfaction with life. Self-acceptance. Positive social relations. Personal growth. Purpose in life. Environmental mastery. Autonomy and personal expression. So just a repetition of what we have said. I think we can skip this because it's basically just saying what we have just said. If you remember a couple of slides before in my presentation, I told you that we need to understand happiness because that's a part of the positive psychology. We talked about psychological well-being, which is again a part of positive psychology. Now we come to the third concept, and that is subjective well-being. Today, my dear friends, a lot of work is being done. A lot of research is being conducted all over the world and even in India on subjective well-being. I myself, in my department of psychology, through my students of Masters, PhD, MPhil, I have conducted a lot of work on subjective well-being. So, what is the connection between happiness and subjective well-being? So happiness is life satisfaction, positive feelings, low negative feelings. I put examples here and their causes for you to understand it better. I think my life is great. If you talk about life satisfaction, I'd say, I think my life is great. I'm satisfied with my job. What's the cause? I have a good income. What's the reason behind this thought that you're getting? I'm able to achieve my goals. And I feel very high on my self-esteem. Self-esteem is something which, it's an image which you have of your own self. I'm doing good things. You think very positively about yourself. I'm doing good things. I'm able to help people. I think I'm helping a lot of people, and I like to help more people in my life. Be it children, be it the elderly, be it my neighbors, be it my colleagues at work, everybody. I think I'm very pleasant to people. I talk very nicely to them. I think I'm an emotional person, and that gives me satisfaction. Then positive feelings, enjoying life, loving others. These are examples of positive feelings. I'm just giving some examples. But how is that possible? Is it possible to enjoy life alone? Yes, you can. A lot of people like to be alone and enjoy life still. But psychology says we are social animals. So we need to have friends around us. We need to have family around us. So supportive friends. Just imagine your friend calls up and says, in the pandemic when there was a lockdown and you didn't have so many things in the house. And the friend calls up and says, hey, I've gone shopping, or I've ordered something for myself, and I've also ordered a list of things for you which you would need. And I'm coming to drop it. Come down and take it from me. Supportive friends. They've gone shopping. They've ordered online. And they are also doing it for you. So when you really needed all this, then the friends have been there with you. Times of marriage, times of difficulty, accident, death. If you have supportive friends, if nothing else, you're just feeling very lonely today. Friends can be a very great form of support for you. Interesting work that you are doing. If you are a researcher, you're writing a beautiful paper and you are working on a lovely concept and you are researching on it for a long time. Like I'm sure all of you, many of you are working with PhD students. So your work is very interesting. You're writing a book on a beautiful concept. It's very interesting work. And you are an extrovert personality. All this can add to the positive feelings. Low negative feelings. You have chronic worries, you're rarely sad or angry. It's very important. I will never in my presentation say this because it's not acceptable, that you're all positive, positive, positive all the time. It's not possible. We're all humans. We have our ups and downs. But if you try to keep your negative feelings to the lowest, you have to train yourself. Not start worrying about everything. So keep your worries to the lowest. Try to keep your sadness and your anger to the lowest. Yes, lots of things make you angry, but keep it to the lowest. So what will happen? You will be very high on mental health. Mental illnesses, for example, I put here neuroticism, will be at the lowest. You're not likely to visit a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist in the coming few years, definitely. Your goals are in harmony and you have a positive outlook. Believe me, when you are positive and you have a positive outlook, you have more friends, more people come to you, even strangers come to you. But ma'am, I think you can help me. Will you help me, please? According to Diner, we continue with the connectivity and connection between happiness and subjective well-being. According to Diner, subjective well-being is people's cognitive and affective evaluations of their lives. So how do we define subjective well-being? What does it really mean? So people's cognitive means your intellectual understanding of what makes you happy or what is positive. Affect means your emotions. Our emotions sway us and take us very far in life. So our cognitions and affect, that is emotions, how we evaluate them in our lives is what subjective well-being is all about. The cognitive element refers to what one thinks about his or her own life's satisfaction as a whole, and domain terms in specific areas of life, such as work, relationships. Let me give you an example here. When you are into a workplace, you happen to be a very hard-working person. Like in the government sector, we all receive our promotions every 8 years. So when you're in the workplace, you're working very hard, you are a very disciplined person, and you're a very punctual person, and you're receiving your promotions well in time. There's a lot of the appreciation. So what happens? It is the cognitive element that we are addressing. The affect element refers to your emotions, your moods, your feelings. Affect is considered positive when emotions, moods, and feelings are experienced which are pleasant in nature. Like in spite of the problems, like in the pandemic, we observed a lot of deaths. So many times when you picked up the phone, somebody called and said, so-and-so has been admitted to the hospital for coronavirus infection. Maybe in a couple of days you hear the person dies, especially if they happen to be the elderly. So amongst all these challenges, when your mood is affected, your feelings are affected, whenever there is death of anybody, even somebody you don't know, it definitely affects you emotionally. It reminds you that when there is life, there is death. It reminds you that one day, even you will die. So this affect element refers to the emotions, moods, and feelings. So what I'm trying to say here is that in spite of something as worse as hearing the news of death, an accident, somebody having a complete marital breakup, you still should try to be addressing the positive side of the whole situation. A person who has a high level of satisfaction with their life and who experiences a greater positive effect and little or less negative effect would be deemed to have a high subjective well-being. This is, I know as I'm speaking, you must be thinking, this is difficult to achieve, it's difficult to attain. But you can attain this by practice. It will not come overnight. It will not come in one day. Today I'm talking about so many topics on positive psychology. So that doesn't mean at the end of the presentation, there'll be a change in everybody. No. But once you have the knowledge, then you must try to bring this in your life. You should try to practice this on a daily basis in your life. And I'm sure it will come about. Look at this image. I liked it, so I thought I'll bring it to you. Subjective well-being is a very important concept in psychology. That's why we are talking about it. The affective element refers to emotions, moods, and feelings. Affect is considered positive, and emotions, moods, and feelings experienced are pleasant. You're elated today, and you feel a lot of affection today, and you are joyous today. Affect is deemed negative when the emotions, moods, and feelings experienced are unpleasant. You're guilty about certain actions, you're angry, you're shameful for having done things which you should not have done. Life satisfaction involves a favorable attitude towards one's life rather than an assessment of current feelings. Life satisfaction has been measured in relation to economic standing. Just yesterday I was watching a video on the Facebook where somebody said that people think that I want to earn money, I want to earn more money, I want to earn still more money and still more and still more. All their lives, they've just been running after earning more money and sacrificing their lives, sacrificing their weekends, sacrificing their holidays with the family. And in the end, they find they have a lot of money, but they have nothing else with them. So life satisfaction. So money can give you satisfaction. It can buy you lots of comforts. And people, as you walk, people will say, oh, wow, he's a rich man or she's a rich woman. Your degrees of education, that gives you a lot of life satisfaction. Your experiences in life, where you live, etc. So life satisfaction is directly connected to subjective well-being. When you are satisfied with certain things in life, the goals of your life, what you wanted to do in life, your subjective well-being is higher. When we think about and appraise our lives, we use our own standards of desirability. Then we compare our status with those to determine how satisfied we feel. That is a subjective element of cognitive appraisal. Cognitive appraisal is a very important word here. Like you have educational appraisal, you have academic appraisal. Like this, you have cognitive appraisal. Let's understand the meaning of cognitive appraisal. It goes much, much deeper than the word itself. It describes how we consider our global, that is overall life satisfaction, and our satisfaction with specific domains. For example, your family life, your career, your work, and so on, and etc. What I do is something that I practice every day. At the end of the day, before I go to sleep, that I have a cognitive appraisal of my own self. You are the best person who recognizes yourself. So in terms of this reference that we're talking about, cognitive appraisal, how are you dealing with your family life? How are you dealing with your family relationships? Need I tell you and give you examples of people who are living in metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Calcutta? They leave home at 7 in the morning and come back at 12 in the night. I'm talking in this reference of cognitive appraisal. Where's the family life? Does the father know? When the children grew up, sometimes the father asks in which class they are. Does the father know? Does the husband know what the wife has been up to throughout the day? How much she has been missing him? So he's just involved with his career. So we need to balance this out. That is what we are trying to say here. Cognitive appraisal. When you do all career, you miss out on so many other things in your life. And that relates to your subjective well-being. Affective appraisal concerns our emotional experiences. High subjective well-being is the experience of frequent and intense positive states. You must have noticed that some people are always happy, always a smile on their face, a feeling of joyousness. You always see hope in their eyes. And they might not have a lot of money, their economic status might not be high, but they're very satisfied with life. They might be living in one single room. They might not have a car. They might be walking down. See what I've written here for you. Joy, hope, and pride. So even if I have a small job and gives me small money, but I'm proud of what I'm doing because I'm contributing in some way or the other. And last but not the least, but these words are very important, and that is the general absence of negative ones. Even in Gita, we have said anger, jealousy are not good for your growth at all. It's not good for your mental health at all. But remember, we are humans. So you are bound to be angry, you are bound to be jealous. But have a cognitive appraisal. Check it out. Have a reality check. What's my anger doing to me? Am I getting so angry all the time that it is leading towards high blood pressure, hypertension? Is it leading towards cardiac problems? Why am I so jealous of this girl or my colleague or so-and-so person all the time? You know, there are cases where husband is very jealous of the wife's progress. She's doing better than him. You remember that movie Abhiman? There we saw anger and jealousy. But at the end of the day, ultimately, This affect appraisal. Appraisal means to appraise yourself. Check it out. You really think it's necessary? Find out the source. Where does it come from? And try to resolve that problem. We will be angry, we will be jealous, but it will be in proportion, something that we can handle. And the lesser of the negative experiences, the more the subjective well-being. I brought a case study here, which I thought should explain. This is a girl called Emma. It's not the real name because we are supposed to keep the patient's name confidential. So Emma has a very active lifestyle. She runs, she plays tennis, she swims, and she feels proud that she performs brilliantly in all of them. She thinks that regular exercise, competitions helps her to stay optimistic, in good physical health, and in control of everything. In her free time, she writes a blog, etc. And she's very passionate about automotive mechanics. She's also very involved mother to her children and a loving daughter, and feels she's in a very happy marriage. While she sometimes feels anxious about her finances or lonely when her husband is abroad, on the whole, she has very positive feelings. Then the negative ones, she's joyous, she loves, she's interested, she's proud, she's optimistic about her future. So Emma has more frequent and intense positive emotions than negative ones. She goes out of her way to engage in activities that cause these emotions. She plays sports, spending quality time with her children and parents, and writing her blog. And when she stops to reflect, she feels satisfied with life as a whole. We can skip this. Wow, I really love this. As people age, researchers say they take more joy in the ordinary. I love the colors. I love the positivity of I love the structure of this entire image. Happiness across lifespan. See, look at the ups and downs. But people who are younger, on the left side of your screen, you can see people who are younger are less happier because they're so busy achieving in life. So you have no time for happiness. And the happiness that you have is momentary. But when you start aging, you've lived life. You've understood life. You've gone through life. I really love this image. I hope you liked it too. Feeling of togetherness, positivity, helping, standing together, etc. Friendships and happiness. Our friends help us to feel optimistic. Researchers say that daily social support is a key factor in feeling optimistic. Optimism in turn increases our satisfaction with life and lowers our risk of depression. We are social animals, as I told you some time back. Books of psychology say we have a whole branch of social psychology which talks about the social aspects in our life. And the more social you are, the more you talk to people, the more you'll share with people, the more you will tell them about our pain, your pains, your difficulties, your problems, the less risk you have of getting depression. So another study, which is published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, shows that when we feel that we have social support as in terms of friendships, as in terms of your parental social support, your relative social support, your community social support, your visual perception of challenges actually changes. Mountains start looking like molehills. Gender roles and happiness. Generally, older people are happier than the younger people, so age is a huge factor which measures happiness. Earlier in life, women more likely than men to fulfill their goals and thereby increasing their life satisfaction and overall happiness. Women tend to talk more. Women tend to share more. Women tend to do lots of activities, small activities throughout the days, which makes them happier and have more life satisfaction. However, it is later in life that men fulfill their goals and are more satisfied with their family life and financial situations. And as a result, their overall happiness surpasses that of women. So there is evidence to suggest that the reason behind the differences in the happiness between men and women is due to how they measure their happiness. Women calculate their positive self-esteem based on closeness in their relationships. Whenever women tend to, for example, two women are friends, they're very close to each other. They share everything, good ones, bad ones, dirty ones, everything they will share. When women are religious, they're also religious completely. So whereas men have been recorded to calculate their positive self-esteem based on their active leisure and mental control. Issues which might affect one's well-being tend to have varying degrees and kinds of stigma which is attached to them. Stigma for mental health issues is usually greater and more complex than stigma for any physical ailment. I don't know whether you have experienced this in life yourself or maybe somebody else around you. But they tend to say that, no, don't go to a psychiatrist. No, don't go to a psychologist. Because if somebody sees you or somebody comes to know about you, they will say that you are mad, you are crazy, you're insane. So this is a stigma which is attached to mental health. But today's scenario is changing. People are now beginning to understand that it's not about insanity. It's not about being labeled as mad if you visit a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a psychotherapist. We are all humans. We all have lots of problems in our lives. And sometimes when the problems are smaller, they can be very quickly be solved. When they become huge in nature, sometimes resolving them becomes very, very difficult.